I'm really not much morning is. I have like the night shift all the time, so this is like irregular. But if anybody has some questions or anything we want to ask, anything that I can help you with, Pokemon, Slayers next, Captain Tyler related, or in general.
You're not going to give her the interview sheet, are you?
Only if she gets cocky.
I think Twitter would have to
try it.
Oh, Nikki! Hi, I see you waving your paw.
I'm just telling people, you know, it's such a switch between Jesse and Misty. Do you ever feel like, you know, split personality, or have you been saying one in front of the mic when you're supposed to be saying the other, or something like that?
It's happened when I'll be in the booth and I'll be working and I'll forget who I am, and I'll say a line. I'll be doing Misty and I'll say the line in Jesse's voice, and it just, I mean, the brain just turns off sometimes, and yeah, seriously, you can forget, and you do have to. It's like a different thing with the body when you're doing different voices. Misty's like, I'm always up here, the shoulders are kind of up, and Jesse's like a little bit, head's a little bit forward. So sometimes when the engineer needs time to readjust or, you know, recalibrate the system, I don't know what he does, but it's purple. And I know this because I've heard them say this many times. But, and sometimes I'll relax, and he'll start it up again, and you get in a daze, and you're like, Ash, oops. And that's one thing I've noticed about Team Rocket, they never say their names. They never say Ash, Misty, Bob, Tracy. They just work. So are they ever going to say their name? Never.
What a burning question.
I know. You're always asking these questions. But, yeah, and then when some studios don't believe in having actors do more than one character in a single show. Michael Brady was saying that Scott Gould doesn't really believe in it because it kind of takes you out. If you sound anything like it, you're kind of hidden behind your gun. It takes you out of the show if you hear the same voice more than once. And what we're trying to do these days is record a little bit more radio style. Eric Stewart came into the booth and we did a scene as Team Rocket together. We played off together. Because he had to come back to record online. He said, "Oh, well, we're here. We can just try how they do it." You know. So anyway, that's totally getting off track. But anyway, yeah, it is hard to remember who you are sometimes, especially if you haven't slept. But anyone else? Any questions? Anyone? Yeah.
I had a question. What happened during the first episode? As you were in the first episode. So what was the whole situation there? Why in the first episode were certain actors doing Pokemon, and then after that, it's different actors?
Well, when we were auditioning, it took about 2 months to go through the audition process, and they called me, and they said, "Well, you've got 3 roles." And they told me the Japanese names, and they said Kasumi, Musashi, and Pikachu, which is something that they brought me into audition for Pikachu only, and I was like the 40th person and stuff, and so they liked your Pikachu. And so for the first, we recorded the pilot, and they said, you know what? They're not sure if they want to change Pikachu's voice because they were like, there's no, but why don't you record the pilot? So I did, and then something kind of mysterious happened where after the pilot was recorded, they went and they shopped it around to networks and distributors, and the WB agreed to put it in syndication. And then they said, well, we think we're going to make some changes, and we're going to keep the original Pikachu. And they didn't have the technology yet to insert Pikachu sounds from the library. So whenever there was overlapping dialogue, like, Ash was saying something, and Pikachu was saying something at the same time, then they had the Pikachu voice. That's what you see in like episodes 1 through 9. It's really when I was doing that, and then that's very occasional. And then now it's all, they have tons of sounds in the library. They sent to them in Japan. They had additional tracks, and now they're just, but if there's overlap, they just slip it in. I did a couple of Pikachu stuff for WB promos and Nintendo commercials and video game. So they have the live action and animation, and that's very quick. Just going, but and then, yeah, they just decided that, and they also said that it would be kind of. I thought that Jesse would not be coming back. I thought Jesse and James were like incidental villains, and there are going to be many other villains coming back. I didn't know that they were recurring. So they said, well, Jesse's going to be taxing for you. And I said, really? They said, we don't want you to handle 3 roles. It'll be too much for you. And I said, oh, well, is Jessie coming back? I said, yeah, she's in almost every episode. Oh.
Steady work.
Really? Okay. It was very strange that day because I was leaving the studio and I said, it was really great to work with you guys. And they said, you're coming back next week. I said, I am? Yeah, they're recurring characters. Oh, nobody told you that? No. Oh God. So, yeah, and I kind of like that. I think it would have been because Jesse's got me. But yeah, anyone else have a question?
Were you surprised that a Pokemon will be this popular in US when it first started?
Yeah. Yeah, because we didn't think that anybody would. Well, it's not like you have like a lot of precedents. Like you have Star Blazers and a lot of things that they've released, but it's been a while since they've really released anything to the mainstream. So yeah, we were shocked. Back in October of '98, we were working on a session, and the director came in and he goes, you know, you're not going to believe this, but Pokemon was airing at 6:30 in the morning in New York, and we thought nobody's going to watch it, nobody's going to see it. And then he said, yeah, but we beat the Today Show in the ratings, and that hasn't been done in like 12 years. So, whoa! And then I started getting an idea that that it was being widely watched, and then I started to get on the subway, and I started to see kids with Pokemon cards. And I saw a little girl, this little girl got on the seat next to me, and she started banging on the window, and she started saying, Pikachu, Pikachu. And she was sitting right next to me, and I had no idea that anybody was watching it. And she's like, Mom, what, Pikachu, Pikachu? And she's like, honey, stop saying Pikachu. Wow, it was very strange to be in that little laboratory of the studio and then suddenly hear something outside. So we had no idea, no clue. We thought maybe it would, 30 episodes was what was ordered. That's what we recorded. And they said, oh, we're going to need the rest. It's doing well, so nobody expected it.
You can often stop by the street and say you're Pikachu.
No. The beauty of voice acting. Yeah. I was going up, my apartment building has like this little stoop. I was going up the steps. And this little kid in a base, I was like hauling my laundry. I had like a huge thing, and I was 3 blocks away the laundromat. And this little kid ran next to me, and he was saying, Bulbasaur, I choose you! He's running past me, and it's just like, it never ceases to floor me. You just don't expect that. Everything else you work on is straight to video. People, go for it because it's to their taste. It's not really broadcast. But now I just saw an ad for Card Captors coming on 2 weeks in WB. So I guess it's got a little bit of the ball rolling. Yeah.
Have you heard word, or are you going to be doing any more Utna, or they're going to be releasing any more, or are you going to be recording any more?
The rest of the episodes are supposedly one of these days going to come over.
One thing that I've noticed is that fans often know more than the voice actors. So you guys probably know as much or more than I do about it. I've heard both sides, but like, if I had to tell you like what my instinct is telling me, I would say no.
Because the other episodes are very dark.
There are a lot. There's marketing concern, and based on like I go to see Pam every once in a while to say hi and everything, and some of the things that people are saying, oh yeah, we got the rest. We got the rest. We're negotiating. We got the rest, and then somebody will turn around and say, I don't think it's going to happen. So based on and so I've been listening to both sides, and my gut's telling me it's not going to happen. And I met Ikuhara and Saito at Animazement, and they were not forthcoming on that. I guess it's like a very sensitive issue at the moment. I'm My gut tells me no, but I could be so wrong. I wish I had a definite answer for you. Are there CPN people here this weekend? Are they doing an industry panel?
Supposed to be.
Yeah. They might be able to. I'm not even sure. Yeah, I wish I could. Yeah, I know they're looking. Kumar and Saito are looking to release the movie theatrically here, and I'm not even sure who they're gonna, what studio they're gonna use or whatever. It's really a mystery. It's as mysterious as the theory of itself.
Something about manga.
Want to give it to me? I don't know. I am just like.
They were approaching. I just heard something about the other day. Oh, I was like, oh yeah, we've been approached by possibly doing that. I said, oh yeah, I just finished subtitling that. So,
You're not really sure what you can and can't say, because you hear stuff, and that's, rumors fly.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to keep track of what's going on.
particularly on that series.
It's very different, so I'm not sure. But, yeah. Anyone else have a question?
Approaching characters when you first get into a character, and everyone has their own different way of doing it. When you go and you first get a character, how do you go about figuring out, well, this is maybe what I want to do?
Well, you know what? When you start voicing a character, you have like no idea what you're going to do, because they hire you based on maybe a tone of your voice in the audition. But when you approach it, you really don't know what you're going to do until you see visually what's happening. So you take 96% of your inspiration comes from the visual cues and how something is drawn. We're always saying, she's not bad, she's drawn that way. Because the mouth could be wide open and even exceed the diameter of the face. The Japanese animation is like that. And it's when a character can start out, and sometimes it's the same thing with the animators in Japan. They may not know exactly where to take a character. Usually it's the voice actor, and they meld the personality with the original. And then, because Jesse and James were supposed to be very straight-on villains, very, very like tough all the time. But I think the voice actors in Japan must have given them kind of like a crazy spin, because they're all over the place. And you know what, you think of people as you go on. Like, has anyone seen that show Pretender, the NBC show? Miss Parker. When I was working on like the first 20 episodes of Jessie, I was thinking of Miss Parker a lot. And she answers herself on like what. She's very curt, and Jessie's kind of like that. She's, Miss Parker's always perfectly coiffed and always has her eyeshadow in place. She never ever breaks her cool. Once in a while she will. But Jessie's like that too. She's like tough exterior but vulnerable inside. So I kind of started thinking about Miss Parker, and the voice kind of followed that. So you pick up inspiration from your family as well, because my Aunt Margie was an inspiration for a character. My Aunt Margie is very, she smokes a lot. Like, don't mess with me. And you know what? Nobody imitate me ever. And she's very, because we always like, oh, Aunt Margie's here. She's like, hey, I don't like that. So when she found out that I did it, there's a magician's assistant in an executor episode of Pokemon, and she's like, you haven't paid me yet. And that's where I got the voice from. And so my mom found out. I told my mom, Aunt Margie's not going to watch the episode. She's not going to know. She's like, oh, Rachel, I don't know, honey, because, your Aunt Margie doesn't like that. It's very bad. It makes her very mad. And she did see the episode. Because if you tell my mom, you tell everybody. And, of course, I get a phone call from Aunt Margie. She says, what have I been telling you my whole life? Don't do me. And she said, did you think that was funny? I don't appreciate that. She was going on and on and on. So I tried to offend people. You definitely pick up a lot of cues from everything. And, sometimes it's interesting because you go in there, you have no idea what you're going to do. And then something just comes to you. So it's like, you try not to think too much beforehand. Sometimes you have a plan, but it depends on the script. visual editing.
The Totoro has a question.
Sorry. Oh, how I told you. Is that how you got into voice acting in the first place? Is doing impressions of your family members? Or?
Oh gosh. How did I get into it? Well, it's something I always wanted to do. I'm not sure how I really started because I just took a class, made a tape, got a job. This person at the job said, you know, it kind of snowballed into other jobs. And then I moved to New York and you start over again. And your whole life, I mean, my sisters and I would just constantly talk to each other. And I would be, and my sister Lori, who's going to be here tonight, does a killer horror movie scream. So she's only 5 feet tall, but she can shake the floor if she wants to. I mean, the police have come. You know, it's her party trick, and people like next door, oh my God, and they show up, and Lori's like, you know, kind of tipsy. She's like, what? What? We heard a scream. Ow! That was me. Then it was just like, oh, no, I have another sister who used to drive with her knees. Very interesting. No, we all just hung out together. We'd be in the basement with a tape recorder and just doing stories and stuff, and doing little sound effects, and or little, you know, just unconsciously bored, and making up stories and little interviews and stuff. And you grow up and you don't really consciously think, oh, I'm going to be a voice actor because I did that. But if you're interested in animation or singing or music or something, it kind of leads you towards doing that because animation is really becoming, like in advertising, they're having virtual people, virtual spokespeople, like the Motorola has that Mia person, and they just have somebody to do the voice, and the rest is all CGI. So voiceover is becoming used in many other things, and so people who can do accents or attitudes, or you know, I didn't really understand what they're up to here, but I think it's naughty. And it's like, and you just come up with things, and that's the fun part of it. With anime, I'm noticing that, I guess you guys know more about this because, you know, the whole cultural aspect is, and I've heard this many times, that there's like an overacting element in anime. It's like, scream, I'm 16! And when people in 16 in this country, they're like, yeah, I'm going to the mall, so. What's Sailor Scout? What the hell is that? What's this freaking wand? Magic, forget it. But in Japan, it's like, you know, other outfit. I just have to turn around a couple times. You know, you know, if you go into an American animation studio and they're making it from scratch, they will always tell you it's natural. And they will have several people working together because it's all natural interplay, Meisner kind of thing. And when you're doing it, actually it's kind of better to do it individually on an anime level because you're screaming. And if somebody else does something different from you, the mic is on the same level, you could distort the mic and somebody's way down here. So it's just the style of it. So yeah, you discover as you grow up, and as you observe people, I guess just like what you like to do. And you know, a lot of people think that voice actors kind of have to be social and out there and extroverted and everything. And most voice actors are very quiet people. If they're not like super stage or, you know, major film, voice actors. I just met Peter Thomas, who is in his 80s. He's been doing this since he was 17, and he's never had an agent. He lives in Florida. He comes up to New York 4 times a week. Has his own plane. He flies it. He's like 80 years old, and he does all these wonderful voice acts. He's like my idol, and he is. He can boom. He's done monster voices, like coming next week, and he's very, you know. And I also met Jonathan Cook, who did, you know, the Angel. Next time on an all-new Angel, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I talked to Jonathan Cook, and he's like, I don't want to. You know, he's under the table. So I don't want to do this. And he goes, come on, do the promo for Angel just once, you know. And he's like, next time an all-new Angel, and everybody starts squealing in the room. And he's like, well, maybe I can get chicks. But that's what guys say. That's like the standard response. Why are you an actor to get chicks? But yeah, I think I'm very grateful to be involved the dubs. They let you create a little bit, something like Slayers let you go all over and try things. Irresponsible Captain Tyler, I did a character called Lieutenant Yuriko Star, and she's, they were teasing me the whole time because they're like, this is you. You know, buttoned up, uptight, quiet, gets mad every once in a while, you know, and she said, yeah, all you should do is get pissed off and just be like yourself the rest of the time. And she talks very quietly. And it felt weird to be doing that because, oh my God, you're not really doing a character now. You're not pitching your voice up and screaming, Ash! Or you're not like, prepare for trouble or anything if you're being straight. It felt more American to be doing that. It's very natural. So, I don't know what else that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, I know one thing, it seems like especially with the video game industry is doing a lot more with voice actors, especially the past few years. It's like gives you guys a lot more opportunity, you know, because that also is becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, yeah, we all did something called, and Megan Hollingshead was at Anime Central, and we were all doing this this video game called Valkyrie Profile, and it was the first video game that I'd ever done. That video games are weird. No, I did actually some Smash Brothers. I did Jigglypuff. That's a very different thing because they tell you, they will have a list of cues, and they say lift, sleep, sing, you know, slash, parry, you know, turn around, touch the ground, you know. It's like little tiny cues. Say, okay, now sleep, and you have to go, okay, you know, beep, beep, beep. And you have to pretend like you're snoring, and they say, okay, cut. You don't really, it's all disjointed, and they put it all together at the end. So it sounds kind of like an 80s pop song.
I think the lady in the cover was second.
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering, because you mentioned your idols that did the Angel. Have you been approached to do radio spots or anything along those lines, or are you just too busy?
Well, actually, you know, you just audition for anything you can. So I've been auditioning for commercials and radio stuff. And, the Vogue, I mean, there's like a Vogue thing. And if your voice is like smoky and sultry, the smokier and sultrier you are, the better, if you're female. If you're not super deep voice, then you're a teenager. So for women only really get about 15% of the voiceover commercial market. It's a very male-dominated market. And but it's getting a little better because these days it's very natural. So you can just talk like this and say, so, you know, so what is about this, you know, 8th anniversary sale? You know, do we need a coupon or what? You know, you can, a lot of it is dialogue, and so I've been auditioning for that sort of thing, and a lot of, some of the voiceover, you find yourself doing kind of quirky stuff, and somebody will actually call you in and say, we need a baby voice, and for 2 minutes you'll sit in the booth and coo like a little baby, or we did a bird sound, like we made up, I can't do it here because it's really hard, but yeah, you just come up with stuff, and they want you to help build a sound library. And I did a book on tape for reading for the blind. I did a film where I played a deaf character, but her voice was, I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody. They had me talk like this as a deaf woman, but the narration was straight, so she sounded like a hearing person in the voiceover. So, gosh, and...
So when she talked, she sounded like a New Yorker with allergies.
No. No, they actually had somebody come in and teach us that, you know, if you're hard of hearing, this is like some of the consonants are very soft, and the words are either really long or they're clipped. And since you can't hear yourself, you cut yourself off, and you know, it was hard. It was very hard to do that. I felt a little skittish about doing that because I thought maybe it would be offensive. But they said, no, this is, you have to work at it. This is like talking with a different voice. And animation is very hot on the internet. So there are a lot of opportunities. And actually, I just auditioned for a Celebrity Deathmatch. They needed a Judy Tenuta and Natalie Merchant. So, you know. So you really don't have to be dead on for Celebrity Deathmatch. There's not a lot of voiceover for that, but that's a very interesting experience. to audition
It's a
for
fun
MTV.
show.
It's a fun show. Daria is just
versus
home.
Pikachu.
Exactly. Whatever. This thing. Versus Mochi. They had I did some. They had auditions for Daria, but Daria is very much in house, and they have a thing called Breakup Girl, which is on Oxygen Network. There's a lot of little tiny networks that need non-union voice talent, so you just go in, and they're just sitting there with their coffee and their muffins, and they're like, go in there and just do something, and it's all about, now it's about women's issues, and they said, well, you just wanted a blind date, and, he stood me up or something. So it's cool. There's a lot of different things. Are you hot? Are you hot in it?
I'm just here.
Looks very comfortable. Anybody else have a question? Yeah.
Not to offend your voice actor or anything, I actually think it's pretty good. But do you have any knowledge of whether or not they're going to subtitle Pokemon and release it in the U.S.?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I've heard rumors that they want to, they've gotten letters to the effect, but I don't know if they're gonna carry that through. I've heard that subtitling is really expensive. Like that movie I worked in, where I played a deaf woman, they were gonna subtitle everything, and we were just gonna sign. And they said, "Whoa, subtitling's expensive. Why don't we just talk? We'll do voiceover later." So, yeah, I think it's not really cost effective. But they might. They're tossing it around.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Of all the roles that you've done, which one has been your favorite one and why?
That changes every day. I think, well, there's some days when you're really in the mood to do certain characters. Jessie, I enjoy her. But she's very tiring. We had an episode with Princess versus Princess. Jessie and Misty were fighting on the Princess holiday. I had like 300 cues, and it's never that heavy. And usually it's like maybe 100 for both, or maybe 150 for a really busy episode. And so I said, oh, this is kind of cool. They get to fight with each other. And
Then you found out.
Exactly. Then there's like, and Jessie was screaming a lot. And Amanda was saying yesterday that they save screams for the end. They don't do that. It's all linear. And
Great.
If you have to sing, okay, we're going to take a moment so you can sing this. Okay, then we're going to go on. It's very, streamlined. So I really enjoy Jessie. She's a challenge. She's very tiring. I go home and I sleep after her. And I'd say like Martina was one of my favorites too, because she was so crazy. We kind of missed the Martina days. We're working on Captain Tyler, and Yuriko was always saying, "But Captain, we have to follow the rules." But Martina was like, "No!" And she was falling off cliffs and landing in rivers. And she had like this bikini bottom that didn't quite cover her whole butt. So sometimes her cape would fly up, and I said, "Hey, that's not covering her entire." Now I know why she wears that cloak thing. It's 5 sizes too small. So we would like make all these jokes about Martina, and and get raunchy and everything, and just have fun with the script and everything. But Tyler was very good. But I did love Yuriko because she was really complex in her own way, and she got to be a little fun when she started loosening up a bit. You loosen up with the characters. You really are the guardian. I mean, even though somebody's been there before you and they've dubbed it in Japanese, you really are responsible where the character goes, and you just don't think about it and see where it goes. I think Jessie's long-winded answer. Yeah.
Do you want to do the Nadeshka movie?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to do the Nadeshka movie?
Nadeshka?
Yeah.
Do you mean the Tyler movie? You mean the Tyler movie?
No, you were Yuriko?
That's
No,
Tyler.
sorry.
That's Tyler.
Oh, there's a Yuriko. I think Nadeshka's a different company.
Yeah.
Maybe. There is a Tyler movie. I don't think there's one stuff.
Oh, we did the Tyler. There are 8 OAVs. We did the Tyler movie. The exceptional episode is going to be released in July. First 2 OAVs.
Cool.
I saw it. It's great. They actually dubbed this song over in English, and I was sweating bullets because Yuriko has to sing. And of course, the director wanted me to learn the song. He taped it on a dictaphone in Japanese, but he had his roommate sing over it in English. So it's a guy singing baritone, and I'm like, does anybody have a girlfriend that you can tap her out? Singing girlfriend. But yeah, it worked. Yeah, it turned out well. Anyone else? Yeah.
Just wondering about when you do some of the Pokemon that you do voices for. Is it just like a one-time thing where you just do like certain tones, or express certain feelings, and then like whenever they come back recurring and they'll just use the same voice again, or do you have to do it for each new episode, just something new, or what like that?
Yeah, you do something new each episode. If you're not available, if like you're sick or something, they'll pull something from the library, or if they just don't have time, they'll pull it. But they usually bring you in to do it fresh, because the lip flap changes and the scene lengths change. And actually, I had a really bad cold once, and I really couldn't talk that day. And so they actually were pumping me full of Sudafed and tea, and say, "Oh my God, we only have 3 hours left to do this. You got to get better, get better." And the producer was like, "Get well." He's pointing at my face and saying, "No." And so there's like this sink in the hallway. This is New York architecture. There's a sink in the hallway, and he turns on and it's a tiny sink, but the water pressure is like Niagara Falls. So you hit the hot water button. So it's like, shh, and he puts a towel over my head and he bends me over the sink. He's like, breathe it in. It's like, come on, get the Sudafed kick in. He was like cheering it on. Hey everybody, how you doing? Jigglypuff, oh.
Real baritone.
Yeah, exactly. My Aunt. Yeah, usually they try to conserve as much of the actors' voices as possible too, because Eric Stewart does a aerodactyl, and one of those is very hard for me. So, anybody else?
It said in your bio you studied medicine.
Yeah.
How long did you study that for? And what was that like in school?
Well, I was pre-med in college, and I got worked on my master's in biotech, and when I had an opportunity to move to New York, I put it on hold. But yeah, I was doing lab tech work at Harvard Med, and I was bringing women to hospitals right next to it, and I was working in the morgue actually doing tissue culture, and I was taking voice acting classes at the time. I gotta go to work. I work with dead people. They're great listeners.
Using puppets?
Pardon?
Using his puppets?
Oh no! Forget it. You take him out of the costume. You can't take him anywhere.
Once rigor mortis sets in, it's like, that's terrible. Oh.
But their critiques are so good.
Yeah, exactly. Silence equals assent. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did you have any problem keeping Misty and Jesse, the voices separated? I mean, they're opposites, more or less.
I think, well, they're similar in a lot of ways. They kind of both have bad tempers. There are times when they say, "Oh, we hear Misty creeping up in Jesse's voice." When Jesse screams, the higher the pitch goes, sometimes Misty creeps in there. But Misty's really physically tough to do sometimes, because it's way in the back, and she screams a lot, and sometimes your throat gets fixed up there. So when it comes time to do Jessie, I really have to just relax, just to let it go down there. So it's all in the body, it's up and down.
Thank you.
Now, when you say you do characters in linear, now is that one character at a time, or do you got to switch back and forth in the course of the episode?
Oh, no, we do one character at a time. We go through the script, and okay, that's it for Jessie, and then okay, we go through the script, and then okay, that's it for Jessie. Page 1, Misty, go back, and and it depends. I usually start with Jesse because we start at 9 in the morning, and your voice is like deep in the morning. So they say, what do you want to do, Jesse or Misty? So they asked me that, and I said, Jesse, that's good. And they said, well, we have to do Misty, and because we haven't gotten the script for Jesse yet. They haven't confirmed it. They love to confirm things. And said, well, we don't know if Jesse's going to call James not a man or strange or something, or a pervert. So we're going to just call him. And then they stick their head in, okay, he's a pervert, okay? All right. Sorry, you want a bagel? Yeah, things like that happen. But we did have, this past week, because I was coming to the convention, they had like some stuff, so we did it linearly, Jesse Misty. And that was the first time we'd ever done that. And that was weird. Because it's all that, they give you 5 pages at a time. And it's up and down. And I kind of walked out of there feeling like maybe I've just like bulked up, like my Monday muscle is here. Like, but when you get an idea of what your throat wants to do. And some people are really good, they can just switch up and down, make them high maintenance or something. Anyway. But, anyone else? I like your green hair. How'd you do this? Like a comb there?
There's this green hairspray. They just spray it on.
It's like paint?
Yeah.
Don't worry, they won't see it in your voice.
Yeah. But yeah.
I saw it on I guess it was an interview that you had done and someone had put it on the web. It had to do with anime, like kind of, pronounce it, versus other anime. You were using some analogy, something about a bagel. Because I think you said you got it. I can't remember it all, and I lost the page. What exactly was that?
The bagel thing?
Yeah.
Jaji Lamplighter did an interview for, was it Mania.com? It was last year, and she was talking about shoujo anime versus shonen. And she said, we were talking on the phone and through email, and you said, how do you see your female relationships versus male relationships? And New York is a big bagel place, and so I just went off with that. And I said, I noticed that when I'm hanging out with my male friends, we talk about South Park and The Simpsons and Gilligan's Island, and they'll tell me about their girlfriends and whine and complain about whatever they're going to do. But it's all good-natured, tough kind of off-color kind of stuff. But with girls, if you're eating a bagel, like you're like chopping on the bagel and laughing it up, and yeah. But with women, like, because a girlfriend of mine, and I had gone out to a bagel shop, and we were talking about guys, and girl talk and everything, and we were just tearing up that bagel. We didn't eat the bagel. It was just like in this little mountain of pieces, and we're like, yeah, this happens. Yeah, and you know what he said? Oh my God. Sorry. You're in a public place. Oh my God, people are looking at me. And, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. The emotions run all over the place. But with guys, you're eating that bagel. You're slathering some cheese on it. It's like really different. So we're talking like the difference between male and female relationships. And I use the bagel analogy because, we've all been there when you're talking to a friend who's of the opposite sex. And you talk only about certain things. And your manners are different, but with women, it's like emotions run the gamut. Just an observation about that.
So you either eat the bagel or mutilate it.
Or you mutilate it. You're like, no. I mean, I thought he loved me. I'm sorry. And I've gone on many, like, it's like become a ritual to go to EJ's Diner on Sundays. And Lisa and I go there, and we'll be eating breakfast and everything, and we'll be talking, and we'll just be talking about general things, and then suddenly one of us will burst into tears or something, because, I'm so tired, and then the next thing you know, one of us makes like an off-color joke, and we're laughing our butts off, and the waiter comes by, and the waiter's like, a couple of weird chicks. But I don't know if you guys haven't, like, if you ever observed that in your life when you're talking to your brother or your sister, you just find that you confide in people about different things. That's what you do. Anyone else?
Have you ever, like, just, this is kind of off the subject, but have you ever just stuck up on a kid kid that's playing Pokemon and scares them by doing some kind of like. My little sister, whose name happens to be Rachel by coincidence, tried to do that to me one time. She's like 10 years old, so it really didn't work, and she's like for trouble, and she sounds like a little Pikachu doing it. And Rachel, no. And she's like, "Have you seen Pokemon cards?" And I'm like, I don't know. It was kind of funny, but I just wanted to do that to kids.
Yeah, no, I've never done, I see kids like playing the games on the subway and stuff, and like whenever, a guy, I don't know, somebody found out that I did a voice and asked me to do it, and he works at the body shop, and we're in public, and I did like a little Jigglypuff for him and everything, and he was like, "Oh my god," and I'm like, whoa, and I realized how embarrassed I get, like I just turn red, and I don't ever do it. It's like, I get really squirmy. I don't know what to say, but yeah, I mean, my nephew likes me to, he calls me. That's about it. God, it's just work with it. But yeah, anyone else? Anything, any questions? I wish I knew like the answers to the industry stuff. I really don't know what's going on with the releasing. The internet probably has the answer. Yeah.
What are some current projects that you're working on?
Current projects? I don't know if I can tell you this yet.
Yeah, which ones are you allowed to talk about?
Yeah.
There's one project coming out from 4Kids, and we did the pilot, and it's called Tom and Friends, and it might be on Nickelodeon, but I'm not sure. I did the voice of the little boy then, and I'm currently doing the Tyler OAVs. We have 2 more plays to go, and I'm also doing some narration work for the Oxygen Network. They have like something calling us Storytime Tales, and it's like a little kid narrating, and it's like a little kid narrating, but it's adult situations. So it's gonna be interesting. And not otherwise just auditioning, trying to get. It's a full-time job when you're an actor. You're always trying to get work, and if you can even get an audition, that's a good thing. Wow. Anyone else? Did someone over here? Okay. No? Yeah.
Concerning with Pokemon, how do you feel about your job security?
Job security? Well, the acting profession isn't really very secure. I mean, even if you get a TV series that's only for a few years, you save your money because you don't know when your next job is going to be. But it's nice to have, like, Pokemon's the first steady job I ever had. And as I said before, I didn't even know that I was going to be on the show for more than a few episodes. And now it's been 2 years, and working with these people, and just having a good time. But when Pokemon's over, you're back to unemployment. So you're still, and we're all still auditioning for stuff as we're doing it. So job security, you just take your paycheck, put it in the bank, and I have other sources of income. Computer stuff that I do and everything. So. But all actors have at least double or triple lives. To pay your rent, to pay your bills, most people have, they temp, they wait tables. It's like an actor's life, making ends meet. I know some people do it on the side. I know a couple of people, like a couple of guys, who have been insurance salesmen their entire life, but they have wonderful announcer voices, and they make 6 figures a year going into the studio once a month and spending 10 minutes just saying a tagline. The voiceover market is so all over the place. I know somebody else has a McDonald's account for the Philadelphia tri-state area, and he goes in, he does 1 commercial, it plays for 6 months, he gets a check. That's great if you're union, you have an agent, you hook up with something like that, but it's not by any means the norm. Most of the time you're looking for work. So job security, acting really isn't secure at all. What's weird is that some actors I know are independently wealthy, like their families are wealthy. So they don't have to sublet their apartment, and they can just go touring for like 3 months. So I'd love to be able to do that, but no, usually I go down for
I think there's something union, come up in union, actors union.
Am I in a union? No. SAG eligible. No, all the anime, like Amanda and Jason were saying, it's all.
How do you feel about different schools banning products, Pokemon?
Well, you know, it could be anything. It could be any. I mean, when I was in school, it was, you know, baseball cards, comic books, you know, and the teachers would take them away and put them in their desk. But I'm not sure why it's so negative. You know, you just take it away. You know, you parent the child. You know, you tell them you can't bring this to school. You have to do your homework. You know, you have to pay attention to the teacher or the teachers. You know, it's everyone else's job. So it could be anything. You know, and it will be 100,000 years from now, kids will still be bringing stuff to their houses. You know? But I think as long as you know take it for what it is and be responsible about it, it's okay. But yeah, sometimes you have to set limits. Definitely. My nephew has had his cards taken away. He's had his little, he has like a little baseball game, a Nintendo baseball game that he plays, and he's had that taken away. Like, very bad. You shouldn't be playing that in class. Don't do that. But I don't know. Now, you know, it's like, oh, now it's Digimon. Now it's going to be card captors and you name it, it's going to happen again. So, anyone else?
Commenting on the school thing, being in middle school, I got a lot of this at the beginning of the year. You know, Pokemon is so popular with middle schoolers, and all of a sudden it just dropped off, and I was like, you did, you like which one? But well, I do that, I swear. And I mean, and what it used to be, kids would take their cards to school, and like one kid I know, he'd have a sheet and binder, and he'd flip through it during class. But teachers would take so many of those up, and I mean, the kids. I mean, Pokemon cards are okay, but when you're at school, you should study, and you should play with them when you're at home. I mean, because now all teachers automatically think that Pokemon's dumb just because kids take the cards to school. I mean, they just buy it to kids. That's the reason that happens.
Yeah, any kind of distraction is not good. You want your students to pay attention. And I've taught young kids on some levels, and you know, you want their undivided attention. And if somebody's like, you know, I think it's just a matter of respect, and it's also a matter of respect to the people who work on the show. We get some angry parents saying, how could you sell this? And it's like, well, you bought it, you give it to your child, you parent the child, you know. It's weird how some people blame Nintendo.
Always gotta blame something.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hear about the crimes related, like the stabbing that was in Canada or something like that, and people blame Pokemon and they call it satanic. And if you play this is a humdinger. If you play Misty's voice backwards, she says like evil things. Somebody actually asked me, "Was that your intention?" And I'm like, "Oh, what?" I said, "Yeah." There's like, and he hadn't even heard it. He heard it on the internet. He didn't hear the sound clip. He had no idea what he was talking about. And he asked me like, "That was your intention? Is your intention to corrupt?" He wants to start a thing. He wants to get a rise out of your. And you're like, no. We go into the booth, we do the lines, we have a sandwich. you drink your water, your tea, you joke about life, you go back in the booth, you use the phone maybe. Ooh, you know. and then we have the ritual burning of the goat in the car. Don't look at I told you to have a sheet over there. You know, little, oh, that's not an altar. You're evil. Yeah, some parents have come up to me and said, you know, how do you feel about that satanic thing? You know, and it's like, why is Pokemon satanic and hysterical? Because, you know, it encourages gambling and what? Gambling's satanic. Yeah, you got to be in it to win it. Might as well while we're doing this, you know. But a lot of people who have a very negative spin on things often don't do their homework, and they will actually say things that are very wrong. Like I was giving a talk and nobody had the right information about something. Oh, we heard that this happens and that this different creative difference was going on and everything, and totally untrue. And so I don't understand. I guess I'm starting to understand how rumors get started and how people would carry them. And people get angry over something that's not even true. So, and for some reason, Pokemon seems to be kind of it seems, and I don't know. I haven't really heard anything negative about Digimon, but you know. It's,
oh, it's not.
Yeah, I mean the backlash. like even before the TV show was released, they said if this does well, how long do you think it'll take before the backlash starts? It's like a negative way to view the world, but it's kind of human nature. But I don't know. It's for us, it's very much a job, and it's like you work with people that you care about, and for us, it's a cool show and it's a cool job. If people have a negative thing on it, you're like, what? We have no idea. But anyone else? I don't know how much time we have left.
I'm gonna shut up after this. They're sick of hearing me. But like a religious thing. I live in Amarillo, which is right in the middle of the Bible Belt, and you never ever live there. And people think that Pokemon's demonic because they sprout horns. And this is what my friends say, because they sprout horns. Because what is it? Some of them are psychic. Psychic's the big thing, and some of them cross-dress. I won't say any names. All right. That's why they think that it's demonic, because they're psychic and because they grow horns. And one person thought that it was like the devil hiding to get out of them. All my friends think this is so stupid, and that's just why.
If you take it, people will. If you look hard enough, people will find something to criticize and everything. There's no such thing as a perfect, critic-proof, book-proof, whatever. It's like it's kind of taught us a few interesting things, and like you can never please all the people all the time. And in some cases, people are going to actually find reasons to try to get a rise out of you. And it's funny. I remember the Smurfs, and my sister was very much into she's kind of a born again. In the first phase, she was feeling very, like she was looking for it everywhere. And there was like an episode of the Smurfs, and Gargamel had like a little cabinet, and he opened it, and there was a symbol on the inside painted. It was a pentagram. And he said, "See, it's evil. That's a pentagram, 5-pointed star in a circle. Evil, evil." And what is it? Smurf. She said, "Smurf is a German word for demon." I'm like, what? I got a German dictionary. I'm like, Smurf's not in here. The word for demon is something else. And it's like, oh, well, it must be a different dialect. It must be a different medieval. And it's funny because in New York, nobody cares. It's like in New York, you can say anything. You can walk down the street with horns coming out of your head. Nobody notices.
In Amarillo, if you go to school wearing something other than a dress, it's like, you're supposed to wear a dress because you're a girl.
It's hysterical because, in New York City, you walk down these villages, a street in New York City called St. Mark's Place, and it's all tattoo, piercing. I mean, you walk by a piercing parlor and you will see somebody getting a Prince Edward. You will see, somebody getting, like, there's a guy getting, like, the hot thing now in New York is, like, the napkin holders, and they put it in the ear. And it's like, and the little things, you insert things under your skin, like little metal stars, and it makes an impression. And it keeps, and you walk around and you flex your fingers, and it has like all these little stars, and it's metal discs under your. I mean, New York is like all over the place, and so when I come down to Dallas, it's so much. I grew up here actually. I went to high school here and stuff, and I forget how differently things are here, and it's not as diverse in New York. It's people understand. People just give each other very much space, and I think the more suburban you get, the more people know each other on a neighborly basis, and therefore things like this come up. But I don't know. It's always going to be true. I give no matter what it is. But at first I used to get kind of upset because people kind of have an accusatory tone, but it's just say, hey, we're just trying to do our best. Anyone else? That's fine. Yep.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, who do you get your inspiration from besides relatives? Do you listen to like old radio shows or anything like that?
Oh, I collect those. I collect, there's a radio show called Let's Pretend. It was popular in the 30s and 40s. I collect that.
World War II stuff, kind of?
Pardon?
You like World War II, kind of?
Oh, yeah. All
Commercials. Experience is the best teacher. Try a Camel. All the smoking ads. And,
Who's your favorite? Can you mind telling me what your favorite radio actors are?
Jack Benny.
Jack Benny?
The Cheapskate with Gracie and George and Gracie.
Yeah, they have those available in the libraries, and I have like 50 of them. And yeah, those were awesome.
get those.
Oh, you can? Oh, I've been going to the Library of Congress. I'll try that. Thanks. Oh, really? Oh.
Incoming Totoro.
Hi, Nikki. Thanks for coming. I like how you did your badge on the Oh, people aren't calling you.
We'll get it later. We'll see you downstairs.
Talking about the kids out there, but what do you think about the adults that get into it more than the kids?
I think it's great. I think it's so cool that people actually know information about it, because you don't think that adults would. And you know that they should try to enter the larger child, age demographic, but I think it's awesome when adults come up and start talking about it. And some people relate to, like, they say, oh, Jesse and James are kind of more adult, because they have, like, their issues or whatever. It's not just so much about Pokemon battling. It's like Jesse and James, like Jesse being poor and James being rich, and the resentment and the underlying. And a lot of people think a lot of adults come up to me and say Jesse and James should get together romantically. It's like a big factor. Yeah.
I just have one question about that episode in which, for some did you hear about that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire question? And and then it came to a point when he did something like, "Is that your final answer on an episode?" And
yeah. Yeah, that was, I forget. Yeah, I remember doing that. And we were talking about that. And Michael Hagney, who's the scriptwriter, loves Millionaire. And he will put in millionaire references wherever he can. And there was a Pokemon question on the show once, like, which one of these is not a Pokemon? And the guy lost like $500,000. And, we're like, that's Ono, or whatever it was, The other three are Pokemon. And you're just yelling at the TV.
Watch Pokemon, win $1 million.
Exactly.
At least $100,000.
Yeah, he's a big Millionaire buff. He's a big Broadway buff. There was an episode where the two Nidoran, and their names were Tony and Maria. And Michael's dream is to be like a Broadway producer. So he goes to the theater all the time.
Produce Pokemon?
There are a lot of cultural references.
Pokemon, oh nice.
Yeah. Actually, there's going to be a stage show. A live. Yeah, it's going to start at Radio City, and Eric Stewart just recorded the Brock song. He can't decide between Jenny and Joy, who he loves more, and the song's like Jenny, Joy, Jenny, Joy. Oh my God.
But are you gonna do both Misty and Jesse? Are you gonna do both Jesse and Misty?
In the radio show? Yeah. Actually, they didn't call me to do anything for it. So I know. I was like, hey.
Is there a difference in terms of when you prepare for a good character as opposed to an evil character, and do you like one better than the other? Or?
Evil's always more fun. I mean, I love Misty. I do. I like her a lot. She's very. I mean, if you're the more good-natured your character, the more demonstrative your lines are, and more expository. But if you're evil, you get to really act out your emotions, and you get to go crazy. And you can even find those subtext in it. Like, why are they so evil? If you're good, you're okay. I'm good. I just, this is how I choose to be. But why do you choose to be bad? And you can think about things that happen in childhood, and you grasp around it.
Sometimes bad is good.
It's like good. It's like a whole big Luke Skywalker conflict starting blood. Yeah.
Okay. I watched Pokemon this morning. I don't have the WB, so I missed everything. But my mom was like, saw Tracy, and she was like, oh, that's wrong. That's Tracy. And I was wondering, in the anime world, does hair grow like 15 times faster than it's supposed to, because it's
We're on soap opera.
From here down back to there in 1 week. I was like, okay, that's not right.
In soap operas, when somebody gives birth to a baby and the next week it's 15 years old.
either it's been like 5 years or like
and they're in college. The super genetic mutant, super miracle grow, sprinkle on.
Yeah.
Just add water.
That doesn't work over your way.
Okay, we have time for one more question, and then, yes.
What was doing boots in their life?
Was doing Michino like? It was, I think it was hard, because I didn't know where the show was going. It was very surreal. And up till then,
Each sniff as anyone else.
up till then, it was all Pokeball Go and, oh, lean in first, I'm going to get you. And, pretty straightforward, but Utano was just, she's a tomboy, but she's not. So I wound up just going with her as just like a regular person and not really trying to be anything with her. But it was hard to figure out how the storyline is coming.
Do you know how the Japanese Seiyu, when she auditioned, do you know how she got the job for the part of Utano?
Something that like she didn't try to sound like a tomboy.
Yeah, and all the other Seiyus knew that Utano was supposed to be a tomboy, so they all played the role butch, and she thought, I'm coming in and doing a shoujo, so she read it shoujo, and of course she got the part.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of times if you try to be something, it usually doesn't work, because you're always going to come back to you and what you have to bring. You really can't cop. You can cop an attitude, but if it isn't really how you yourself, like what would I do? Because your life experiences and your consciousness all come. So yeah, it was hard because the show, it was very strange. It's like who's Choo Choo, this little monkey coming out of nowhere. He's sitting on the coffee table.
The artist.
It's like I'm drawing you. But yeah. Well, thank you for coming, and I guess.